The relationship between weather and the human psyche unfolds like layers of atmosphere itself, each one revealing new depths of connection between our inner and outer worlds. As evening settles and the day's weather patterns begin their quiet transformation into night's embrace, we find ourselves naturally drawn to contemplate how the sky above mirrors the landscape within our minds. Consider the gentle way morning mist rises from a lake at dawn. This same ethereal quality exists within human consciousness when we wake from sleep, our thoughts emerging slowly from the fog of dreams into the clarity of waking awareness. The mist doesn't rush or force its way upward. It simply responds to the natural warmth of the sun, much like our minds gradually warming to the possibilities of a new day. This parallel between atmospheric phenomena and mental states reveals one of nature's most profound teachings, that both weather and mood follow rhythms that cannot be hurried, only honored. The science behind weather's influence on our mental state begins with light, that fundamental force that governs both atmospheric conditions and the delicate chemistry of our brains. When sunlight touches our skin and enters our eyes, it triggers a cascade of neurological responses that reach deep into the structures governing mood, alertness, and emotional regulation. The pineal gland, often called our internal timekeeper, responds to these light variations by producing melatonin, the hormone that orchestrates our sleep-wake cycles and profoundly influences how we feel throughout the day. On bright, clear days, our bodies produce more serotonin, often called the happiness neurotransmitter. This biochemical response explains why a sunny afternoon can lift our spirits without any conscious effort on our part. The light doesn't just illuminate the world around us, it illuminates something within us, activating neural pathways that promote feelings of well-being, clarity, and gentle optimism. Yet this response varies from person to person, like fingerprints of the soul, with some individuals feeling energized by bright sunshine, while others find their peace in the soft, diffused light of overcast skies. The complexity of our relationship with weather becomes even more intriguing when we consider how different atmospheric conditions can evoke entirely different emotional landscapes within the same person. The same individual who feels invigorated by a crisp autumn morning might find deep comfort in the grey, cocoon-like embrace of a winter afternoon. This isn't contradiction. It's the beautiful variability of human nature responding to the equally beautiful variability of atmospheric moods. Rain occupies a special place in this meteorological symphony of the mind. The sound of raindrops on a roof creates what acoustic researchers call pink noise, a specific frequency pattern that naturally soothes the nervous system and promotes relaxation. This explains why so many people find the sound of rain inherently calming, even hypnotic. But rain's influence extends far beyond its auditory properties. The petrichor, that distinctive, earthy scent that rises when rain first touches dry soil, triggers powerful memories and emotions, often connecting us to childhood experiences or significant moments when we felt particularly alive to the world's sensory richness. The negative ions released during rainfall create an interesting parallel to the positive mental health effects many people experience during rainy weather. These ions, which increase in concentration near moving water and during storms, are believed to influence serotonin levels in ways that can reduce anxiety and promote a sense of mental clarity. Perhaps this is why some of history's greatest thinkers and writers have found their most profound insights during long walks in the rain, their minds freed from the usual constraints by the atmospheric alchemy surrounding them. Storms represent weather at its most dramatic and psychologically complex. The approach of a thunderstorm creates a distinctive atmospheric pressure that many people can sense in their bodies before any visible signs appear. This sensitivity to barometric pressure changes reveals how intimately connected we are to our atmospheric environment, our nervous system serving as biological barometers that register shifts in weather patterns sometimes hours before they become apparent to our conscious minds. The psychological impact of storms varies tremendously among individuals. For some, the raw power of thunder and lightning evokes feelings of awe and wonder, connecting them to something vast and magnificent beyond the ordinary concerns of daily life. The electrical activity in the atmosphere during storms seems to awaken corresponding electrical activity in our own neural networks, heightening creativity and often leading to breakthrough insights or artistic inspiration. Others find storms overwhelming, their sensitive nervous systems responding to the atmospheric chaos with anxiety or restlessness. This reaction is equally valid and speaks to the remarkable diversity in how human consciousness interfaces with natural phenomena. The key lies not in changing these responses, but in understanding them, learning to work with our unique atmospheric sensitivities rather than against them. Winter weather creates perhaps the most profound and varied psychological responses of all the seasons. The shortened daylight hours and longer periods of darkness naturally slow down both atmospheric and mental processes, encouraging introspection and inner exploration. This seasonal shift toward contemplation has been recognized across cultures and throughout history, with many traditions incorporating winter as a time for reflection, storytelling, and connecting with deeper layers of meaning. Snow transforms the psychological landscape in ways that extend far beyond its visual beauty. The way snow absorbs sound creates an almost mystical quiet that many people find deeply restorative. This acoustic dampening effect allows subtle sounds, the whisper of wind through bare branches, the distant call of winter birds, to emerge with startling clarity, creating a natural meditation environment that encourages present moment awareness. The way snow covers familiar landscapes with pristine whiteness offers a powerful metaphor for mental renewal and fresh perspectives. Walking through a snow-covered forest or along a white, blanketed path, many people report feeling a sense of mental cleansing, as if the snow's purity somehow extends to their own consciousness, covering over the accumulated debris of worry and mental clutter with a clean slate of possibility. Yet winter's psychological effects aren't universally positive. Seasonal affective disorder affects millions of people, demonstrating how powerfully weather patterns can influence mental health. The reduced sunlight and vitamin D production that characterize winter months can trigger depression in susceptible individuals, revealing the delicate balance between our inner chemistry and the atmospheric conditions surrounding us. Understanding these connections doesn't diminish winter's beauty. Instead, it deepens our appreciation for the complex relationship between weather and well-being. Those who experience seasonal depression aren't failing to appreciate winter's gifts. They're simply responding to legitimate biochemical changes that require attention and often professional support. Light therapy, which mimics the spectrum and intensity of natural sunlight, has proven remarkably effective for many people with SAD, demonstrating once again how intimately our mental states are connected to atmospheric conditions. Spring's arrival brings one of the most universally positive psychological transformations of the entire seasonal cycle. The gradual lengthening of daylight hours triggers what researchers call the spring awakening effect, a measurable increase in energy, optimism, and creative thinking that coincides with nature's own renaissance. This isn't merely poetic metaphor. Studies consistently show improvements in mood, cognitive function, and overall mental health as winter transitions into spring. The returning warmth and increased sunlight stimulate the production of several key neurotransmitters, including serotonin and dopamine, creating a natural antidepressant effect that many people experience as a lightening of the spirit. The sight of emerging buds and the first green shoots of new growth seem to activate something deep within our own psyche, reminding us of our own capacity for renewal and growth. But perhaps most intriguingly, spring weather often brings a sense of possibility that extends far beyond immediate mood improvements. The combination of warming temperatures, increased daylight, and the visible evidence of nature's renewal creates psychological conditions that are particularly conducive to making positive life changes, setting new goals, and embracing challenges that might have seemed overwhelming during winter's more introspective months. Summer represents the pinnacle of atmospheric energy and often corresponds to our own peaks of mental vitality and social engagement. The long days and warm temperatures encourage outdoor activities and social connections that are crucial for mental health. The abundant sunlight during summer months ensures optimal vitamin D production, supporting both physical and mental well-being in ways that create positive feedback loops throughout the season. Yet summer's psychological profile isn't without complexity. The intense heat and bright light that energize some individuals can overwhelm others, particularly those with sensitive nervous systems or conditions like bipolar disorder, where excessive stimulation can trigger manic episodes. This demonstrates once again how weather's impact on mental state isn't universally positive or negative, but rather deeply individual, requiring each person to understand their own unique responses to atmospheric conditions. The psychological concept of seasonal personalities suggests that some people are naturally aligned with particular seasons, feeling most mentally and emotionally balanced during specific atmospheric conditions. Summer people tend to thrive on high energy, social interaction and intense sensory experiences, while winter people often prefer quieter, more contemplative activities and find their greatest insights during periods of reduced external stimulation. This alignment with seasonal energies reflects a deeper truth about human nature, that we are not separate from the natural world, but intimately connected to its rhythms and cycles. Our attempts to maintain constant productivity and emotional equilibrium throughout the year may actually work against our deeper nature, which evolved to fluctuate with the atmospheric and seasonal changes that once governed all aspects of human life. The psychological benefits of acknowledging and working with these natural rhythms cannot be overstated. When we align our activities and expectations with seasonal energies, embracing winter's call for introspection, spring's invitation to new beginnings, summer's encouragement of social connection, and autumn's wisdom of harvest and preparation, we often find that our mental health improves significantly without any forced effort. Temperature plays a fascinating role in the weather psychology connection that extends far beyond simple comfort preferences. Research has shown that moderate temperatures tend to optimize cognitive function, while extreme heat or cold can impair decision-making abilities and emotional regulation. This isn't merely about physical discomfort. Temperature directly influences neurotransmitter function and the efficiency of various brain processes. The concept of thermal comfort extends into psychological comfort in ways that are both subtle and profound. When our bodies are at optimal temperature, our minds are free to engage fully with creative and analytical tasks. When we're too hot or too cold, significant mental resources are diverted to thermoregulation, leaving less capacity for higher order thinking and emotional processing. This connection between thermal and psychological comfort explains why so many people have strong preferences for specific temperature ranges when they need to focus, relax, or engage in creative work. The writer who can only produce her best work in a slightly cool room, the artist who needs warmth to feel inspired, the student who studies best during mild spring afternoons. These aren't quirks, but expressions of deep neurological truths about how temperature influences consciousness. Wind adds another layer of complexity to weather's psychological impact. Gentle breezes are almost universally calming, triggering what researchers call the wind response, a measurable reduction in stress hormones and activation of the parasympathetic nervous system. This response likely evolved as an adaptive advantage, since light winds often signal favorable weather conditions and the absence of immediate environmental threats. Strong winds, however, can have the opposite effect, increasing feelings of restlessness, anxiety, and even aggression in some individuals. The Chinook winds of the American West, the Mistral of southern France, and the Föhn winds of the Alps have all been associated with increased reports of depression, irritability, and even violent crime. While the mechanisms behind these effects aren't fully understood, they likely involve changes in atmospheric pressure, electromagnetic fields, and possibly the concentration of various atmospheric ions. The psychological concept of wind sensitivity describes individuals who are particularly responsive to changes in air movement and pressure. These people often report feeling restless or unsettled before weather fronts arrive, as if their nervous systems are registering atmospheric changes before their conscious minds become aware of them. Rather than dismissing these experiences as imagination, growing scientific evidence suggests that some people do possess heightened sensitivity to atmospheric conditions, making them natural weather predictors. Humidity levels create another subtle but significant influence on mood and mental state. High humidity can feel oppressive and often correlates with increased irritability and decreased cognitive performance, while very low humidity can create a sense of dryness and depletion that affects both physical comfort and emotional well-being. The optimal humidity range for most people, around 40 to 60%, coincides with the conditions that best support respiratory health and comfortable sleep, demonstrating once again how physical and psychological well-being are intimately connected. The interplay between different weather elements creates complex psychological atmospheres that can't be reduced to simple cause and effect relationships. A warm, humid summer evening with gentle winds might feel romantic and relaxing to one person, while triggering restlessness in another. A cold, crisp winter day with bright sunshine could energize someone who loves winter sports, while making a sun-sensitive individual feel overwhelmed. By the glare and contrast, these individual variations in weather sensitivity often correlate with deeper personality traits and psychological patterns. People who score high on measures of sensory processing sensitivity tend to be more responsive to weather changes, while those with more robust nervous system regulation may be less affected by atmospheric variations. Understanding your own weather sensitivity patterns can provide valuable insights into how to optimize your environment for mental well-being. The concept of weather as a form of natural therapy emerges when we consider how deliberately exposing ourselves to specific atmospheric conditions can support mental health and emotional regulation. The practice of weather bathing, intentionally spending time in different weather conditions for therapeutic purposes, is gaining recognition as a valuable complement to traditional mental health approaches. Cold exposure therapy, popularized by researchers like Wim Hof, demonstrates how controlled exposure to cold weather can strengthen both physical and mental resilience. The physiological stress of cold temperatures triggers the release of endorphins and other stress response chemicals that, when experienced in controlled settings, can improve mood, increase stress tolerance, and enhance overall mental health. Similarly, deliberate exposure to sunlight, often called light therapy or heliotherapy, has proven effective for treating depression, regulating sleep cycles, and improving overall psychological well-being. The key lies in finding the right balance and duration of exposure for each individual's needs and sensitivities. Rain therapy, or pluvial therapy, involves the intentional use of rain sounds and rain experiences for mental health benefits. Beyond the pink noise effects of rainfall sounds, actually being present during rain, safely sheltered but able to hear, smell, and feel the atmospheric changes can provide profound psychological benefits, including stress reduction, enhanced creativity, and improved emotional regulation. The practice of storm watching, when done safely, can provide opportunities for awe experiences that research shows are particularly beneficial for mental health. The sheer scale and power of thunderstorms can shift our perspective away from daily worries and toward a broader awareness of our place in the natural world, often resulting in lasting improvements in mood and life satisfaction. Seasonal light therapy extends beyond treating SAD to encompass broader applications for mood regulation and cognitive enhancement. The timing, intensity, and spectrum of light exposure can be adjusted to support various mental health goals, from improving focus and alertness to promoting relaxation and sleep. Understanding how to work with natural light patterns throughout the day and across seasons can significantly impact psychological well-being without requiring any special equipment or interventions. The psychological concept of weather memory reveals how deeply atmospheric conditions become embedded in our emotional and cognitive networks. Specific combinations of temperature, humidity, light quality, and barometric pressure can trigger vivid memories and their associated emotional states, creating what researchers call weather-dependent memory recall. This phenomenon explains why a particular autumn afternoon might suddenly transport you back to childhood memories of school days, or why a certain quality of winter light brings back the emotional atmosphere of a significant life event. These weather memories aren't just nostalgic curiosities, they represent powerful connections between external conditions and internal psychological states that can be understood and even utilized for therapeutic purposes. The practice of creating positive weather memories involves mindfully associating beneficial mental states with specific atmospheric conditions. By paying attention to which weather patterns coincide with your best moods, clearest thinking, or most creative insights, you can begin to understand your personal weather psychology profile and use this knowledge to optimize your mental health throughout the seasonal cycle. Weather's influence on creativity represents one of the most intriguing aspects of atmospheric psychology. Many artists, writers, and inventors report that specific weather conditions are particularly conducive to their creative processes. The science behind this connection involves multiple factors, including how different atmospheric conditions affect neurotransmitter levels, brainwave patterns, and the default mode network that underlies creative thinking. Overcast skies, for instance, have been shown to enhance certain types of creative thinking by reducing visual distraction and encouraging inward focus. The soft, diffused light of cloudy days seems to promote the kind of mental state that allows novel connections and insights to emerge. This might explain why so many creative breakthroughs happen during contemplative walks on grey days or while sitting by rain-streaked windows. Conversely, bright, clear weather tends to enhance detailed, analytical thinking and can be particularly beneficial for tasks requiring precision and logical reasoning. The increased alertness and energy that accompanies sunny conditions make them ideal for tackling complex problems that require sustained mental effort and attention to detail. Thunderstorms occupy a special place in the creativity-weather connection. The electrical activity in the atmosphere during storms appears to influence brain function in ways that can enhance both divergent thinking and breakthrough insights. Many famous discoveries and artistic works have been conceived during storms, suggesting that the atmospheric electricity somehow resonates with our own neural networks in creatively productive ways. The relationship between weather and sleep quality creates another crucial link in the chain connecting atmospheric conditions to mental health. Temperature, humidity, barometric pressure, and electromagnetic changes all influence sleep architecture, the pattern of sleep stages that determines how rested and mentally sharp we feel upon waking. Cool temperatures generally promote deeper sleep by supporting the natural drop in body temperature that signals the onset of sleep. However, extreme cold can be disruptive, as can excessive heat, which interferes with the body's ability to cool down sufficiently for optimal sleep. The ideal sleeping temperature varies among individuals, but typically falls between 60 and 67 degrees Fahrenheit. Changes in barometric pressure often affect sleep quality, particularly for individuals with pressure sensitivity. Many people report sleeping more soundly during stable weather periods and experiencing more restless sleep when storm systems approach. This connection between atmospheric pressure and sleep quality may explain why some people feel unusually tired or mentally foggy before weather changes occur. The sound environment created by different weather conditions significantly impacts sleep quality and, consequently, next-day mental state. The pink noise of steady rainfall often promotes deeper, more restorative sleep, while variable sounds, like gusty winds or intermittent rain, can create disruptions that fragment sleep architecture. Weather's influence on social connection and community mental health represents an often overlooked but crucial aspect of atmospheric psychology. Different weather conditions encourage or discourage social interaction in ways that can have profound implications for mental health, particularly for individuals who rely heavily on social connection for emotional regulation. Warm, pleasant weather generally encourages outdoor activities and social gatherings, creating opportunities for the kind of face-to-face interaction that research shows is essential for mental health. Summer festivals, outdoor concerts, and casual gatherings in parks all depend on favorable weather and contribute significantly to community mental health and social cohesion. Cold or rainy weather tends to drive people indoors and can reduce casual social interactions, potentially contributing to feelings of isolation, particularly in individuals who are already vulnerable to loneliness or depression. However, these same conditions can also create opportunities for intimate gatherings and deeper conversations as people seek warmth and connection in cozy indoor environments. The concept of weather-dependent social rhythms suggests that communities develop patterns of interaction that are closely tied to atmospheric conditions and seasonal cycles. Understanding these patterns can help individuals and communities plan activities and support systems that work with rather than against natural weather-related social tendencies. Extreme weather events create unique psychological challenges and opportunities that reveal both human vulnerability and resilience. Natural disasters and severe weather can traumatize individuals and communities, but they also often bring out remarkable displays of mutual aid, cooperation, and psychological strength. The psychological concept of post-traumatic growth suggests that many people develop greater resilience, deeper appreciation for life, and stronger social connections following extreme weather experiences. This doesn't diminish the real trauma and suffering that severe weather can cause, but it does highlight the remarkable human capacity to find meaning and strength in the face of atmospheric adversity. The anticipatory anxiety that often accompanies severe weather warnings reveals how deeply our psychological well-being is connected to atmospheric stability. For many people, weather alerts trigger a cascade of stress responses that can be as psychologically challenging as the actual weather event itself. Learning to distinguish between appropriate preparedness and excessive worry in response to weather threats is an important skill for mental health maintenance. Cultural and geographical influences create fascinating variations in how weather affects psychological well-being. People who grow up in different climates develop unique relationships with atmospheric conditions that reflect both biological adaptation and learned cultural responses to weather patterns. Scandinavian countries, despite their long, dark winters, often report high levels of happiness and life satisfaction, suggesting that cultural attitudes toward challenging weather conditions can significantly influence their psychological impact. The concept of hygge in Denmark and lagom in Sweden represent cultural frameworks that help people find comfort and meaning even during difficult weather periods. Desert cultures have developed sophisticated relationships with extreme heat and aridity that often emphasize the psychological benefits of harsh conditions, the way intense heat can promote introspection and spiritual insight, or how the vastness of desert skies can evoke feelings of transcendence and connection to something greater than oneself. Tropical cultures often display remarkable psychological resilience in the face of hurricanes, monsoons, and other intense weather patterns, having developed cultural practices and worldviews that incorporate extreme weather as a natural and manageable part of life rather than as exceptional threats to be feared. The modern disconnect from natural weather patterns, thanks to climate control, artificial lighting, and indoor lifestyles, may be contributing to various mental health challenges that weren't as prevalent when humans lived in closer relationship with atmospheric conditions. The emerging field of nature deficit disorder suggests that lack of exposure to natural weather patterns may impair both psychological development and ongoing mental health. Reconnecting with weather awareness involves practices as simple as spending a few minutes each day outside regardless of conditions, or as complex as seasonal lifestyle adjustments that honor the natural rhythms of atmospheric change. The key is developing sensitivity to how different weather conditions affect your own mental state and learning to work with these patterns rather than against them. Weather meditation practices involve using atmospheric conditions as focal points for mindfulness and awareness cultivation. Sitting quietly during a rainstorm, paying attention to the subtle sensory experiences of different temperatures, or simply watching clouds move across the sky can all serve as gateways to deeper self-awareness and mental clarity. The practice of weather journaling, keeping track of both atmospheric conditions and your corresponding mental states, can reveal patterns and insights that support better mental health self-care. Over time, these records can help you identify which conditions support your best functioning and which might require extra self-care or professional support. As we settle deeper into the evening's embrace, the day's weather patterns beginning their slow transformation into night's different atmospheric personality, we can appreciate how intimately our inner climate reflects the outer world's endless variety and change. Understanding this connection doesn't mean becoming dependent on perfect weather for happiness, but rather learning to dance with atmospheric conditions as a partner in the ongoing creation of mental well-being. The relationship between weather and psychology ultimately teaches us about resilience, adaptation, and the profound interconnectedness of all life. We are not separate from the atmospheric conditions surrounding us. We are expressions of the same planetary system that creates weather, intimately connected to the same energies that move storms across continents and coax flowers from winter earth. In recognizing this connection, we find not limitation but liberation, the freedom to understand our moods and mental states as natural phenomena deserving the same patience and respect we might offer to a passing storm or the gradual turning of seasons. Tonight, as weather patterns shift in the darkness beyond our windows, we can rest in the knowledge that we are part of something vast and beautiful. Our consciousness as natural and worthy of wonder as any rainbow or snowflake dancing in the atmospheric depths of this remarkable world we call home.